Welcome to After the Buzzer, alongside Ashton, Lex, and Tommy Yarish. I am Millen Jane, and guys, today we're gonna have a story time. There's been a lot of interesting stuff going on in the news. We know basketball is coming back on July 31st with the playoffs, but today we're just gonna take things back. Instead of playing video games like we have done in the past, we're gonna tell some stories, just have some fun in the next couple of next half an hour or so. So let's kick it off right away. Tommy, I know you had a story to begin with. What is your story? Let's kick it off right now.
So the first story I'll tell you is about how I met Millen. Ashton, to be honest, I think I met you through basketball, but I don't really remember my first ever encounter with you. And you might, I have a terrible memory. I just remember Millen's because it stuck in my head. So I think it was either the first day of school or one of the first days of school. I walk in and I see Millen Jane over there in our journalism 1 class. And I was, being myself, going around talking to everybody, introducing myself because it's the beginning of the school year. And I go up to him. I was like, "So you're new around here. Where are you from?" "Connecticut." And I was like, "Oh, that's sick. Do you like sports?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "The sports reporter at my school back in Connecticut." I just stopped, gave him a hug, and I was like, "Dude, I've been looking for someone like you for years. Thank you for coming to Texas." And that's how it started. I knew from the second I met him that we were going to be good friends because one, he let me hug him, and two, he likes sports.
I'm a big hugger. I like to hug people. I think for me, the best thing was the second day of school when we first got to know everyone. Ashton, you were in our class for journalism 1, and I was getting to know people, and we were talking. And I was like, as a friend, I was like, "Oh, where do you live?" And you go, what is this called? I'm still lost with, is this Fairhaven? Yeah. No, what is
Fairhaven.
This is Fairfield. We live in Fairfield. See, 10 months in and I still don't know where we live. Anyways, so you said you lived in Fairfield, and I was like, "Oh, dope. Where in Fairfield?" And you go, "Lakes of Fairhaven." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what now?" And I was like, where? You go, we're like, maybe, like past the bridge. And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Where do you go after that?" And you go, "I take a left." And I was like, "Okay." And then after that, they're like, "You take a left or the right?" "You take another left." And I was like, "Okay, screw this." And I was like, "I live near you." I finally found a friend. And I remember the first day I texted my girlfriend, that was my only friend. And I was like, "I just found my first friend," which was great. The next day after that, Tommy comes up to me, and then the story that Tommy just told you, and I texted my girlfriend. I was like, "I found another friend." And my girlfriend was like, "Wow, 2 friends in 2 days." I was like, "I know, 2 for 2. And then since then, I have had no other friends except Kaya. Kaya is my friend. So I've had 3 friends.
That's false.
Yeah,
You had a ton of friends.
But that was the first.
Insanely false. I see it. Yeah, don't try me. I saw your Instagram post when you posted that you were going back to Connecticut for your senior year. You had several Bridgeland kids commenting how they was gonna miss you.
But the first 3 days right there off the bat, I was like, "Let's go. This might not be as bad as it may be."
So for my story, I'm going to kind of include this a little bit. So as Millen said, I have met Millen, but the way I remember it is, what was the name of the show that Miss Barry used to show us, the CNN 10?
Yeah,
CNN 10.
And she had given us, this is while I was still in journalism 1, she had given us a sheet that we had to fill out.
Oh yeah.
And I look over to my left, I see Alyssa Jensen. She's paying attention a little bit. And then I look to my right, and Millen's just. And as soon as, what's the guy's name again? What's his name?
Carla Zeus.
Carlos Zeus.
As soon as those 10 minutes are over, I hear, "Hey, bro, what are the answers?" And then I look over at Millen, and he's got like one word written for everything. And I describe everything in like long paragraphs. I mean, sentences and such as, when I'm not stuttering. But yeah, I just look over. He's got like one word, and I just got these long paragraphs on everything. And he's like, "Hey, what's the answers?" And then ever since that day on, until I switched classes, I was the answer guy for Millen and Alyssa. So I guess it's called being a freshman.
Yeah, Millen doesn't do his work. He's on his phone in that class all the time. I don't I don't think
For
I
5 minutes, maybe I do my work.
Yeah, seriously. You'll sit at the computer, but you'll just type on your phone the entire time. You won't actually do any work. I feel terrible for all of his partners that he had throughout the year
Whoa,
because
hold
they
on.
would be no, they would be working hard on all day during
Whoa.
the class, and then Milan would just be there 5 minutes of work, and then he'd text his girlfriend, and I would mess around with him a little bit every class period, but nonetheless, terrible partner to work with.
Okay, hold on. The last two assignments in journalism, I wrote those essays because we had to do partner assignments. I'm not going to name who I was partnered up with in case that person is watching the show, but I was the one that had to write the articles. I was the one that had to go in and interview some of the people. So
I had to
I did.
drag you out and go to the interview with you.
That's because that person was, well, I don't want to say anything in case the person's watching, like I said, but I did a lot of the work out. I did more work at home than I did in class.
Exactly. So you did nothing in class. I had to drag you out to go get interviews because your partner already did. So you were already slacking. You have nothing to diss her about, or him or her. I don't remember who it was.
I think, yeah, and then I also messed around with Kaya a little bit. I was like the Jim Halpert in the journalism class where I did a little bit of my work and then I just messed around with people.
Yep.
But I think the one story that I do remember, so Tommy was like, "Hey, I'm a reporter, like the sports reporter at the school," and I was like, "All right, cool." And then you're like, "Let's come shadow me for a day at a football game," and I was like, "Great, I can't wait to shadow you." And so I go to my first football game, and I see Tommy, and he shakes my hand, and he goes, "You ready?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "Okay, I'll." He goes, "All right, what do you want to do first?" And I was like, "Well, you're the expert." He goes, "All right, you want to be on camera first?" I was like, "Whoa, hold on, I don't even know what the stadium is called, let alone be on camera." So then Tommy does his pregame. Talks about, I forget who we were playing. Does his pregame and he goes, "All right, cool. Here's an extra. I think here's my camera. Go take pictures." And it was like a Canon or something, like a $500 camera, probably more than $500. But this is coming. He's giving me that camera right there. He's giving a kid who he's met, maybe he's known for maybe a week, a $500 or more camera, and trusts him to go and take pictures when he knows perfectly well I don't have any experiences taking pictures, and he just trusts me. And I was like, okay. After he gave me that, I was like, all right. So I know his trust level, and I was like, all right, cool. I can do this now. So that, and then he shot for the rest of like the whole football season. He showed me what to do, and thanks to you, I've gotten a lot better at reporting.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah. So from my perspective, I remember the entire. Now that you mentioned it, I'm kind of like remembering everything going on that day. I also don't remember who we were playing, but I remember I was on the field. I texted Milan, and he got to the stadium, showed his media pass, came in, and the one thing about Milan is I don't think I've ever seen him wear pants. Never, not once. I wore pants to every football game that I've ever been to because I try to look somewhat professional, but also as somewhat comfortable. So he comes up in his famous pink shorts and a very
Salmon
very
color. Yeah,
salmon. I'm sorry, and some t-shirt. He always wears these tight-fitting t-shirts so he looks strong.
I gotta get some kind of an advantage.
And he comes over to me and I was like, "What's up? Welcome to the Berry Center," or something like that. I probably didn't say that, but I was like, "So I'm about to do my stand-up. I know you did a lot of on-air stuff back in Connecticut, so if you want to do one, you can do it." And he was like, "All right, sounds good." Not knowing now I know what was going on inside of his head. But so I tend to do my if it's a good day, I tend to do my stand-ups in maybe 2, 3, 4 tries. Now Millen's never done a stand-up before, so it was acceptable that he took like maybe 20 tries to do his first one. He couldn't get the Berry Center down. He had no clue where he was, no clue who was playing.
I didn't even know what
that's
state we were
totally
in.
okay because I was like, listen, Texas high school football is a whole different world than up there in Connecticut. Like if you had football there, you have no clue what's about to happen. And then I remember after our rain delay, which I'll get to in a second, I I was like, look, here, you can take my camera for a little bit and just go take some pictures of pregame, because they went out and warmed up before actually playing the game. And he goes out there, he took some pretty solid pictures. I still have them if you want them.
I have some on my
And
phone.
he was pretty good for the first time around. And I made sure to show him all the settings and all that in case he needed to adjust them. And he did a really good job the first time around. So moving on from that, as I mentioned, rain delays. So I think Millen, we went to what, 3 games together?
We went through the whole season, but the first game.
So a whole season, but the first game. I don't think so. You weren't at you weren't at some of the games. I think we were at 3 or 4 together.
We went to a majority of the games. So the first game was not at the Berry Center. The second game was against Cy Springs. That was my first game. And then the rest of the games I was there, except the playoff game in Waltrip or whatever that was.
In Vandergrift.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I guarantee you that every single one of those games had a rain delay. Every one. Varying lengths, but every single one that he went to had a rain delay. So Milan is pretty much a curse now, because whenever you bring him to a football game, there's at least a half-hour rain delay. So we were the first game he went to. I remember it was clear, sunny, nothing.
Oh, I remember.
Nothing even close. And then he comes to the stadium. All of a sudden, we start hearing, and it just downpours. So I don't know if Connecticut has bad weather, but he brought it to us if they do, because every single time he went, bad weather struck.
Yeah.
I remember one of the games. You were there when the second half didn't start till like 11:30, right?
Oh yeah, it's like yeah.
That
Like a 2-hour rain delay, and I went.
That was the worst rain delay I've ever been a part of. It was about 2 hours long, I would say, and the entire time we were all shuffling around with we're throwing pieces of information back and forth. So like, oh, this person said we start in 15 minutes. Oh, this one said 30. Well, this one said an hour, and talking about canceling the game. But in Texas, you don't really do that because you got to play them all, and. Yeah, so Millen is a curse, but always happy to have him on the field, and I wish he could have stayed to witness a full season of Texas high school football.
So for me, sorry, it is echoing, but for me, at this point in time, I knew Millen really well, but I hadn't known Tommy the greatest because I was in that first period journalism, and I mean, as an incoming freshman, you have your group of friends from the year before, but you haven't really made your mark with the older people, as you would say. I mean, y'all are juniors. I had barely started talking to a few sophomores, but I still remember Tommy was your sophomore year. Millen, you were still in Connecticut. I had gone to the one of the open nights for Salyards, and I was thinking about doing journalism because I had done journalism in the past in Florida, and I had gone up to the booth, and I think it was just you and Kaya and Miss Barry. Y'all were, not to sound bad, but everyone else was kind of going everywhere, and not many people were at y'all's. And then I had walked over, and I was like, "Hey, wait, no, I follow this kid on Twitter, and the only reason I followed him is because one of my friends' dads was like, hey, if you want to keep up with Brisbane basketball, follow him." And I had followed him. I was like, "Hey, dude, what's up? I mean, I follow you on Twitter and all this." And then the first day of school comes around, and I was like, "Oh, wait, that's him." And then so forth and so forth. And we get to this point, which is just kind of crazy how everything ties in together. You don't really expect a friendship to come from a single dap up, but then now we're just lifelong friends.
Absolutely. And now that you bring that back, you guys have to remind me of things for me to remember them. I vividly remember you. I think you were wearing those signature Nike shorts that you wear, the light blue ones. And you just came up to me. You were like, "Hey, I'm Ashton Lux. I only remembered you by your last name. That was the only reason I followed you back on Twitter. I had no clue who you were." And I was like, Lux. So I look you up. I checked out some of your tape. I was like, "Oh, this kid's good." So I was looking for you those first couple of days. And so that's good now that I'm remembering that. My favorite story of Ashton by far we didn't really have too much interaction during this, but it was during one of his games. I sit next to our JV coach, Coach Griffin, who was a guest a couple episodes back the entire time. And I don't remember who we were playing, but they weren't a very good team. And Ashton scored a bucket in the paint. He was wide open. I don't remember if you were wide open or not, but you were running back on defense. And you look at the bench, and you look at me and Coach, and you're like, he can't guard, or you said, they can't guard me. Me and Coach Griffin just look at each other, turned back, and started dying laughing. It was so funny because we've never seen that from you. And, they're obviously a horrible team. So obviously, you have the potential because people can't guard you because of your height. And you'll be unguardable when you get to the varsity level. But that was so funny.
Yeah, I remember that. Dang, I'm sorry, my thing is echoing, but I remember that just from I believe it was either Tomball Memorial or Langham, and as a freshman at Bridgeland, nonetheless in the Cy-Fair School District, it's really rare to get on JV, and I'm not trying to be cocky or arrogant or anything. It's really rare, and at that point, I truly didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know who were my friends. I didn't know who I could trust on the court. Because at that point, a lot of the freshmen from last year that are now sophomores weren't happy with me being on JV as a freshman. And that's okay. I don't blame them. But I had kind of gotten into the groove. And I believe it was either Langham or Tomball Memorial. And I made a couple threes. And then I made that bucket in the paint. And they kept on fouling. So I was like, they can't guard me. And, of course, all the anger and everything that I just built up, I was just like, I just let it out.
They can't guard me. Oh, that was the best. And then Millen, do you want to tell our adventure at the track meet that one day?
Oh wow.
During
Okay.
spring break, because that was the last thing that we did together before spring break started.
So, okay. So we had, I think our school hosted the biggest track meet that I've ever seen. The only track meet that I've ever seen. I've been to one, and that was it. And so Tommy goes, hey, man, there's a track meet coming. I think this was on Monday, and the track meet was on a Thursday. Tommy comes up to me and goes, hey, man, if you don't have any tests or quizzes, there's a track meet all day. Can you go to it? And I said, yes, I can, looking straight at him and lying to his face because I knew, like, very well that I had a history test that day. So I skipped my history test. I did it Friday. Don't worry. I got a really good grade on it, so it didn't matter. But anyways, besides the point. So I went to this track meet. Also, when you go to cover sports events, you got to know what you're doing, right? So Tommy's a genius at things. So he knows what's going on in basketball. He knows what's going on. You know what's going on in football. So I didn't ask Tommy what's going on in track, so I had no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. So I get to the track meet, and there's a bunch of people just there. And I said, okay, we're here, now what? It's pretty much when you go on vacation, and you're like, hey, now what do we do? So and Tommy just goes, go cover. And I was like, great, good idea. So the track meet took a while to get started because Coach Waters didn't know what was going on. I don't remember what the first event was, but I was just walking around looking to see what could I cover. I had a camera on me. I had a video camera. I was doing video that day, which was quite fun. I remember I was paranoid of crossing the track when they were doing the relay races. I didn't want to get killed. I know, with a small 5'4" dude like me and a big, skinny dude, that was scary. And then I think the one thing I remember specifically about that one was the girls. I think it was the girls running one of the races, or maybe it was a relay race. I had to go interview a girl. And I went to go, she was like collapsed because she was out of breath. The one thing I learned is that you got to interview someone at the right time, right? So I thought it was the right time, and I'm like, hi, my name is Melons. I'm from Bridgeland Studio Media. I saw you running. Can I interview you? And I'll show you the look that she gave me. She was sitting there, and she looks at me, she goes, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And I was about to get up and leave. She goes, no, it's fine. And I was like, all right, cool. So I interviewed her. It was great. I was petrified. And I was like, all right. I was like, what's your name? And she goes, Olivia. And I was like, great. And then I spelled Olvia. She goes, no. And I was like, did I spell something wrong? And she goes, no, Olivia. And I was like, all right, cool, Olivia. She goes, no, it was like Alvya. And I was like, who the heck spells Olivia like that? And I was like, okay, cool. So then we covered, and so then we got lunch, which was the greatest thing because I was like a dinosaur and ate salad, ate plants, which was great. Tommy was having a burger or something, and everyone else was having other food. I don't know what you had.
I had a sandwich. There were no burgers there. I wish.
Same thing. I had salad. So then across the field was the softball tournament going on, right? So me being me, I was like, one thing that they did is they started their event at like 10:30 and it went to like 11:30 and then they broke until like, then they had a break until like 11. No, till like 1 or like 2, which was really weird. So I was like, hey, softball's going on, let's go cover them. And Tommy was like, all right, let's do it. So we went to go and we went to go cover softball, and I don't forget who they were playing, but they like got killed. I knew a couple girls. I'm sorry, girls. They got killed. But it was okay because that happens. I remember they started their ace, I think Haley Stump. She was in my health class, so I knew who she was. She could throw the ball hard. They just made, they couldn't capitalize. The other team just outplayed them, which happens in games. And I was their bad luck charm, which sucked because I had to go interview Haley afterwards. She got taken out in the first inning, which was horrifying for me to interview her. Coach yelled at them in the batting cages, and I was just standing there on the side, just waiting. I was like, "Can I interview you?" And Coach finally left, and I went to go. I was like, "Hey, can I borrow Haley's Stump?" And one of the girls was like, "Fine," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I had to go. And luckily, Haley gave me a great interview, and so that was fun, and I got to skip the entire day. Fun fact: after I got home, I had to go to the dentist. Where I got my teeth cleaned, which what happens when you go to a dentist. And then I passed out on the couch, and I didn't tell my mom that I went. Oh wait, did I? I did tell my mom. Never mind. I did tell my mom. She knew I was at the game, but I like passed out. It was probably one of the single-handed best events that I've ever been to, and I know now what to do back at Avon next year when I have to go cover a track meet. So that was fun.
So from my point of view, it was a little different. So I have never covered a track meet before. So he's out here calling me a genius. I had no clue what I was doing either. What I do remember from that day distinctly was that it was cold as ever. It was freezing.
For me, it was one of those times where it was like it was cold when the sun was in the clouds, and when it came out, it was nice. So
yeah,
it was like
exactly. Couldn't have said it any better. Couldn't have said it any better. It was, but when I went out there, it was freezing, and I was in a short sleeve shirt and shorts. So about 30 minutes into the track meet, I was like, you know what? Can't do this anymore. Ran inside the school, grabbed a coat, come back. So the track meet itself, the schedule was really confusing because they didn't follow it at all. They were supposed to start at 11. I think they started at around 11:30. So me and Melon are just standing there, getting some things together, planning what we were going to do for the day. And then all of a sudden, some race starts. We turn and we just see a bunch of girls taking off. And we're like, wait, what? What's going on here? And so, yeah, they take off and several other races happened. And then they just stopped after about half an hour of running and didn't resume until like 2:30, which was really weird. So Millen left around like 1:30, I think, to go to his dentist appointment or something. And I was stuck there the whole rest of the day. Now, I believe the track meet went till like 11 at night, but I couldn't physically do it. I had to go home around like 5 o'clock. The big thing that we went for that day was the mixed gender relay. So each team had a boy and a girl, 2 boys, 2 girls run a 4-way relay race, which was actually really cool. I really enjoyed that, and it was fun to watch. But yeah, I also remember going to softball because nothing had happened for about an hour, and the softball girls were having a tournament over there. And I was like, well, Millen, we have nothing better to do because they're not doing anything over here. You just want to cover a softball game? So there we go. That's what we did. We had some lunch. I accidentally ate sweets, even though I gave it up for Lent, noticed it immediately, and threw my cookies out. That's another thing that stuck out to me. I'm sorry. But no, it was a really good day. And going up to that day, once I found out that it was happening and it was an all day thing, I was like, I can't do this by myself. I'll get too bored. So I was like, hey, Millen, you free? I knew, Ashton, you had basketball or something. I think, did I ask you to come as well? I don't remember.
Yeah, I also had a AP exam in human geography, so I already told you I was like, yeah, I can't go.
Yeah. But no, like you said, it was a really fun day to kind of lead right into spring break.
Was that the last day before spring break?
I think it was one of the last days for
Oh no, because
sure.
it was
I
on a
think
Thursday and our last
it
day was
was
on a
on that
Friday.
Thursday, yeah. So we had Friday, and then that was it. So we weren't doing anything. I didn't miss anything in my classes, which was great. But if I had known what was going to happen, really would have tried to say bye to everybody on Friday.
That was tough. Going back to football, I remember going to the Berry Center, right? First thing I noticed, I asked you, Tommy, and I go, "Where's the game at?" And you go, "The Berry Center." And I look at Miss Berry and I go, "Wait, did she name it? Is it after her?" And you go, "No, no, 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 no." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Because
Yeah,
Berry
that
is
just started
iconic.
a discussion in that journalism class as well. She was like, "Yeah, everyone thinks I own it."
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And then we get to the stadium. Because here in Connecticut, unlike most other football stadiums in the United States, aside from Texas, they have two benches and two set of bleachers, and that's it. And then there's a football field, which is great. I was not expecting that. When we get to the Berry Center, I'm like, "Hey, Mom, we're going to play a high school football game, not college." She goes, "No, that's the way the GPS takes us." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And we get inside the stadium, and I'm just looking like, wow. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And I put it on my story, and I'm like, so this is a high school football stadium. And everyone from Connecticut goes, "That's cap." And I was like, no, this is a high
Oh.
school stadium. Do you know how much it seats?
I'm gonna look that up. You keep talking.
Because it seats a lot. And so for people, I don't know. This is yeah, no, I took these pictures, but this is a picture I took at I think the homecoming game, or no, the ranch game, right? Which is great. There's a lot of people there, right? And I love that. And then the school spirit was there, kind of. And then I got this pic. I found someone airdropped me this picture. This is my school during our homecoming night, our home game at night. That's what happens when 400 guys pack into a football game. Um, but yeah, I kept on thinking. I was like, this is like going to a college football game. I was like, and that's so. Up until that point, I was debating on what did I want to do for a living because my two options were being an airline pilot or being a journalist. Obviously, being an airline pilot, you make more money and you get to travel the world. Whereas as a journalist, it's hard to make money. It's more competitive, but you do get it's really rewarding. And so after that, like the experience, I was like, I think the journalism is the route for me because I was like, I would love to witness like football, like extreme like sports events from the side. So I think that was one of the things that really like stood out to me like throughout this year.
So going back to what I said, so the Berry Center holds 11,000. And so does Pridgeon, which is the other Cy-Fair stadium. Also to point out, I don't know if Dylan, have you heard of Allen High School
I have not.
in Dallas? Okay, so Allen is
That's a
literally,
whole different level.
yeah, it should just be a college campus because I think they have what, like 7,000 students, which is absolutely insane. They have their own stadium too. It's called Eagle Stadium. Eagle Stadium seats 18,000 people. That's only 300 seats less than the Toyota Center.
Let me see that Eagle. What is it? Eagle what now?
Eagle Stadium. I believe that's Allen's. Yeah, that's Allen's.
In Sugar
But
Land?
anyways, yeah. So the thing with Texas high school football is, like I told Millen the first time I met him, and he didn't believe me. It was, this is an atmosphere that is unlike any other high school atmosphere in the world, because we have the big stadiums, we have, the jumbotrons, the lights, the announcers, whole 9 yards. I've been blessed with the opportunity to go to NRG Stadium a couple times to watch some games over there, and that's even crazier because the football field looks 100 times bigger than it's the same size everywhere, but it looks 100 times bigger when you seat 50,000 people. And I went to the North Shore Katy game this last season, and that was by far one of my favorite games I've ever been to, if not my favorite game that I've ever gone to. I vividly remember I was walking down the sideline posting about a Katy touchdown, and North Shore they got pinned inside the 20, and they were punting it away, and all of a sudden I hear the kick, and I hear boom. So a Katy guy had blocked the kick, but also ran, and not even ran over. He just bulldozed this poor kicker and grabbed a touchdown. So they had started getting back into it, and everybody's going crazy. I'm on the Katy sideline, so the coaches are like throwing their hats and clipboards, and the alumni who are on the sidelines are going nuts. They're jumping in the air, and I'm sitting here, and my good friend from 24/7, Nick Harris, was at the game with me, and I look at him, and he's just like, and I was like, "What happened?" And he goes, "They just blocked a kick." But no, and in those atmospheres as well, you'll get to see a bunch of really cool people. I remember one of the best trainers in the country, Justin Allen. I was able to meet him there finally. We've been following each other on Twitter for a while. At one of our Bridgeland games, I saw the world famous Footwork King. He has me blocked on Twitter. I don't know why. I have nothing but respect for you, Mr. Footwork King. So please, Coach Whitfield, please unblock me. You're a great guy. I've also been able to see people like Ed Oliver. He's a defensive tackle now for the Buffalo Bills. I saw him while I was covering his alumni, Westfield High School, playing Cy Ranch. And Damon Damos, the Texas A&M commit, who can literally jump out of the stadium, and Vernon Brogdon, who went to Cy Ridge. I was never actually able to watch him play, but I saw him at the North Shore Katy game as well. And it's just so cool to meet so many people, and Texas high school football does it like no other. Same with basketball. Being able to watch guys like LJ Cryer and Eddie Lampkin playing on the same. I'm getting there. Tremont Mark, the best shooter I've ever seen. Marcus Williams, Deuce Guidry, LJ Cryer, I think I already said his name. Mike Miles and Wade Taylor. There's just so many people. Cam Clardy and Ashton Lux, of course. So many amazing players that I've been able to see, and Millen, I can definitely see why Texas made you switch to journalism, because high school sports do it like no other.
And so touching basketball, I'm sorry, my thing's echoing, but touching basketball, I remember this was the Barry Center tournament, and Dickinson, Morton Ranch, and all the best teams in is my thing echoing for y'all? I'm sorry.
Not really, no.
No, okay. It's echoing for me. I'm sorry, but all the best schools in the Houston, some from Dallas as well. Tommy and I had gone to watch Dickinson play. I'm not sure who they played. Was it Lancaster or no?
Dickinson played Morton Ranch. I remember.
Okay,
I was covering the game, and I hear Tommy, and Ashton's amazing dad was there with him. That was pretty fun. I remember I would turn around to Ashton and just be like, after a really nice play, it was really fun.
Yeah, I remember like anytime Jamal Mark did something crazy. At that point, we were wondering like, is this gonna stop? Because he's literally obliterating Morton Ranch. But touching football again, of course, my house is kind of known as the hangout spot for the three of us, or our or our parking lot of the high school. But Super Bowl, I believe it was Super Bowl Sunday, right?
Yes, sir.
Super Bowl Sunday. I'm blessed to have a media room in the house that we moved back into. And I just remember the guys saying like, hey, let's go here, let's go there. And I was like, wait, I was like, we just moved in not too long ago. I finally figured out how to work the projector. And so I was like, hey, let's watch it on the big screen. And, you got three guys, a bunch of cookies, as Tommy loves, is it the Diet Coke or what type of Coke is it, Tommy?
Oh, just regular Coke. But those cookies, forget about them.
Yeah, but we just had a great time. Eventually, sadly, the speakers stopped working, so we had to watch it in my room. But my favorite story from that day is that whenever my little sister Presley Lux, everyone's favorite mascot, the halftime dance is going on, and she just starts dancing, and we're all laughing. After that's over, she was like, "Hey, Millen," and in her little sweet voice, she was like, "Millen." He was like, "Yeah, what's up? Can I cuddle with you and watch the game?"
I remember
And
that.
Millen was like, "You know what? Sure, it's okay, Presley." And mind you, my little sister's, I think maybe she's 6 at the time, and she just loves to be around everybody. She's like, "Millen, can I cuddle with you?" And Tommy and I are just like, "Okay, we'll just watch the game now." Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite stories from that day.
I
Presley's the
always,
best.
I've always been good with little kids. I've worked with little kids before. I've always had patience with them. So like for me, that's like I like cuddling with kids. That sounds really terrifying now that I'm 18. I can't really be saying that now in public. Uh, but yeah, that was fun. What other stories do I have? I have a lot.
What was I about to say? Going back to what Ashton said about Tremont Mark and all that. Um, I remember the first time I ever watched him play was against Lancaster. So this is top notch basketball. Like two of the best teams going at it, and so usually if you're shooting a 3-pointer, you want to tend to be as close to the 3-point line as possible, so it's easier for you to make it. Tremont could care less. Here's the 3-point line, and here's where he was, and he was just draining them. He would pull up from half court pretty much, and just shot after shot after shot after shot went in. And I think he had a solid 30 piece on Lancaster, which is a very, very good team. And I was just wowed by it. And then, of course, when I saw them play Morton Ranch, uh, Morton Ranch has one of the better scorers that I've ever seen play, if not the best scorer. I would say it's safe to say he's the best scorer I've ever seen play is LJ Cryer. Um, Dickinson's a tough defensive team, but he still scored a solid like 16 to 20 points on them, I think.
Yeah, I think it was 20.
20, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, usually you have 5 guys on a basketball court. Usually you tend to get all 5 into a pretty good mix. There'll be the standouts, but everybody else will contribute a little bit. When I tell you that Dickinson was literally Tremont Mark, Deuce Skidry, Marcus Williams, that was it. They call him the 3-headed monster, and rightfully so, because all the 3 of those guys plus one person with 2 points beat Morton Ranch. They scored the other, I think it was 81 points combined. 2 other points against one of the best teams in the Houston area, which is incredible. And I was so excited to watch them play in the Final Four. And I would be willing to put money on the fact that they would have won the state championship game had this season not been shorted. And it really pains me that they weren't able to get that opportunity because they're all seniors. But nonetheless, just absolutely incredible what they were able to do. I know Tremont is going to U of H, which if they keep – I don't know if Quentin Grimes declared for the draft or not. I think he did. Oh, he didn't. Oh.
I'll look at his Twitter, but from what I know, I don't believe
Wow,
that.
that's going to be terrifying. Houston's going to be a very good team next year. Regardless, Tremont is a program-changing guy. And Marcus Williams, I know, is going to Wyoming. That's going to be very exciting for him. I don't know if Deuce is going anywhere, but nonetheless, at his size, he contributed an incredible amount to such a good team like that.
And just touching on basketball, I remember the one thing that crazy, like I've practiced with Eddie Lampkin. I play for the team, the AAU team that he ran for, the Houston Defenders. I'm on their 15U team. And the one thing that gave me, like, I've always respected Eddie on the court and off the court. He's always been a great guy, always been fun to be around in workouts and stuff. But the one thing that made me respect him the most was that I believe, if I'm correct, that was his first game back off of a surgery. And I believe he didn't play very good because I'm gonna be honest, LJ didn't play the greatest, and Eddie played okay. LJ was hogging the ball a little bit, but Eddie, I think Eddie had 20 and 10 rebounds and maybe 3 assists.
Eddie had a great game. for the
Coming off
first game
a
back from
major
surgery.
surgery like that, that's crazy. I mean, I've gone through 9 month not being able to play before, and I know how hard it is to come back. And to be able to come back in the top-notch shape is just crazy to me, which gives me the utmost respect for him.
Yeah, and Eddie and Mike Miles, the other one of the I think it's safe to say Mike Miles is the best all around player I've ever seen play. Um, they're going to be pretty fun to watch over at TCU.
And if I'm correct, Mike Miles and Lancaster, they were number 7 in the nation right before everything went crazy.
They were definitely up there. They've always been one of the better teams. I believe they won state last year in 5A, which was not surprising at all. I don't think anybody stood a chance against them.
And yeah, they were just crazy. But then with basketball again, I wasn't lucky to go. I wasn't on the varsity team this year. I hope it'll happen next year, the year after. But Tommy, I know you got to see this firsthand.
Oh,
Greg
boy.
Brown, Greg Brown, just I've
You know
only
what?
got. Go ahead. I've
take
seen
it
him
back.
play one time in person, and I just remember Tommy. I didn't even text Tommy to ask how the game went. I mean, I heard that they only lost by 14, but just looking on overtime, I was just scrolling, waiting for them to see something. I just see Brisbane jerseys running, and then and Frosty running, and then he just stops, and I see, hey, I was like, oh my god, that I wasn't there to witness it, and it wasn't a big blowout or nothing. Vandergrift is a good team, but Greg Brown, just seeing that big windmill is just crazy.
I take back everything that I've said about these guys. I respect them all. You know, they have incredible games and they'll do insanely well at the college level. But Greg Brown is the best basketball player that I've ever seen in the state of Texas. You know, you have people who can jump and dunk normally, and then there's Greg Brown. That kid he jumps out of the court every single time. He gets up. I can't stress it enough how high he gets. It shouldn't even be legal how high this kid can jump. And to do it on top of someone is even worse. Now, the thing with Frosty did the right thing on that overtime play. He got the hell out of the way. He saw the freight train coming in and he said, nope, not doing that, which is the right play to do. And to be honest, the Vandergrift game was close to begin with. That first half could have gone either way. I think we were only down or up 2. I don't remember. But then the second half is kind of when Greg started turning it up a little bit. He struggled from the 3-point line in the first half. And then towards the start of the second half, his teammates started throwing down some dunks. He started hitting some threes. And that's when they kind of ran away with it. But I remember I was filming that game. I couldn't be on the bench. And I was holding the camera and just going every time he would throw down a dunk because he's absolutely ridiculous. And the University of Texas is going to be so good because of him.
And just to put this in perspective with people that don't understand what, like, we're coming from high school athletes. His NBA scouting report says plays with his head above the rim.
Exactly.
Now, just imagine a 6'10". Okay, being 6'10", you should be able to dunk just easily. But imagine a 6'10", 185-pound guy who has a 7-foot wingspan playing with his head above the rim almost every play of the game.
It's unheard of. You know, I got
Defense,
a lot of guys.
Offense, passing, you're just like.
Yeah, it's unheard of. And a lot of guys, you know, kind of sell themselves. And I know I have at times as well as different. You know, they want to be different. They want to be unique. But this kid is really a whole different animal. You know, there's the Zion Williamsons, but he's got a couple inches on Zion, I think. And obviously not as big, but he doesn't need to be big. You have a 7-foot wingspan, dude. You can just go like this and down it goes. But yeah, forget about it. If you're playing him and you're one-on-one at half court, just get out of the way.
It's like he's a Giannis, but with, in my opinion, better skill handling the ball. Not as much strength as Giannis, because Giannis is just a different breed when it comes to strength. But he shoots the ball better, and I think he has better IQ.
How tall? You said what? 6'10"?
6'10".
What does he go?
He's a big dude.
Where did he go for high school?
Vandergrift.
I'm 6'10". Just kidding. I'm not.
Minus 16 inches, something like that.
Give or take. That will wrap it up for our episode of After the Buzzer. This was actually quite fun. I didn't know how many stories we would actually get out in the open. But this is what goes on after, this is how we've all met together. This is how we formed our friendship and our bond to make this show. I know a lot of you guys want to see what it's like behind the scenes, and we're definitely going to make a video like that, whether it's going to be a vlog and we go eat lunch, or if we film something like I film what I'm looking at right now so you guys can see it. We're going to come up with some creative videos. Now, basketball is going to come back in the next couple of months. Hopefully, hockey will come back soon. MLB, we don't know what's going on. So once basketball kicks off and gets underway, that's a lot of stuff we're going to cover. But for now, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys next time.